Well, hello there. I guess there's no better way to start a channel but to do a response to a hashtag. So I'll do one to Mary Grace's 13 tarot questions because it's the only hashtag that I could find that doesn't involve endlessly flipping through decks. And as I'm saying that, I will be flipping through a deck. This is a deck called 22 Major Arcana by 22 artists, published by Il Meneghello. It's a collaborative deck. It's not one that you see very frequently, which is why I'll be flipping through it. It's completely, well, let's just say it's not the most cohesive deck that I've ever seen in my life, but it does have some wonderful and very clever artwork, so maybe you'll enjoy it. So let's get started. Number 1, what is tarot to you? Well, seeing that I don't really like to mystify things unnecessarily, tarot is a deck of cards with a specific structure, no more, no less. That's really all it is to me. It's more than anything a useful tool, a tool to get answers or some out-of-the-box suggestions. That's about it. Do you read tarot for yourself or for others? Yes and yes. Both for myself and for others. Such a lovely depiction of the goddess Fortuna. With what frequency do you read tarot for yourself? Well, this is a tough one to answer because it depends on different periods of my life and what's going on. By the way, this is one angry, pissed off justice. It's quite remarkable. It depends on what's going on in my life and what types of things preoccupy me. There will be times when I have absolutely no questions for myself, and I will read mainly only to just stay in shape. But there are times when I truly need tarot's help because it can give me answers that nothing else or no one else can. So that varies. Sometimes it's daily, sometimes there's no reason for me to read for weeks. What types of readings do you do? Well, I really only do one type of a reading, if I'm being honest, which is that type of a reading that answers the questions that I have. Now, my questions can deal with a lot of things, from magic to health and advice and predicting outcomes of sports games or politics. I'll read for all sorts of things. But essentially, I always see it as one and the same, which is getting answers from a deck of cards. So I don't really have a very complex classifications of the readings that I do. Regarding what types of things do you typically consult tarot? Well, if I'm going to consult the tarot, it's going to be around things that there are no other ways to find out. So I'm never going to ask the tarot how I feel because there's a much better way for me to understand how I feel, which is to look inward and feel my feelings and identify them. But I will ask the tarot to tell me, what my situation at work might be, because it can give me a bigger picture that I otherwise can't have any real insight into. So maybe it's better to put it this way. What is it that I don't consult the tarot for? I don't consult the tarot for anything that I can find out in other ways. It's a lovely emperor. Let me see, what's the next question? How would you classify yourself as a reader? i.e. book meanings, experiential, figurative, literal, etc. Well, I'm an eclectic reader, and when I say that, I don't mean one of those anything goes readers, because I'm really not an anything goes kind of a person. For me, this means that I will change the way I read depending on the system that I work with. Most of my readings are with Pipdex, Marseille specifically, and there I use a visual kind of reading. So I look at what's on the card. I don't rely on any type of meaning, like from a book or anything. Mainly in the style of Enrique Enriquez and Camille Elias. That's the kind of reading that I like to do. But if I read with RWS, then I will rely on the meanings, and there I'm quite bookish. I mean, I know my upright meanings, my reversals, I know how to combine them, I know how cards interact with each other. I'm somewhat less fond of Golden Dawn correspondences, but if I end up using their deck, I guess I don't really have a choice. I have to play by those rules, which is why I stick mainly to Pipdex, because there you can just read the visual language of the card. And also decks such as this one, art decks. What types of questions do you ask tarot? Usually descriptive or predictive questions. So I will either want to get a description of a situation. For example, if I'm doing a ritual, I will get instructions on how to do it from the tarot mostly. Or if I'm facing a situation at work that I don't know how to deal with, or at home, I will consult the tarot to give me an overview of the situation. I don't really ask for advice from the cards, or if I do so rarely. The other type are just predictive readings. I will also sometimes use tarot as a communication tool with those that I can't really use words to talk to, or at least get answers from. What questions do you never ask tarot? I don't think I have questions like that. I usually, before I do a reading, I will usually sit with myself and see if I'm actually ready to know the answer. And if I'm not, then I won't ask the question. But I don't have a predefined type of a question that I don't ask. It's mainly that some questions at some parts of my life, in certain periods of my life, are a bit too much, too threatening, so I just don't ask them. And then if I'm ready, and when I'm ready, I do. But that's about it. I don't really make a big deal. I don't know. I don't have any sharp boundaries. Like, I will never ask about health, or I will never ask about predicting someone's death or anything. If I want to know, if I'm ready to know, I will ask. And as far as my querents go, well, whatever they ask, I will answer, unless it's really boring, in which case I will decline to do the reading. And what they ask and what they do with the answers is really up to them. I don't honestly care that much. I enjoy reading the cards, and that's kind of where I stop. Who do you think you're engaging with or speaking with when you read tarot? I honestly have no idea. Not even the slightest idea. Well, in some rare instances I do. If I'm using tarot for some kind of necromancy, I know I'm speaking to, or at least I'm hoping I'm speaking to someone that I'm trying to contact or evoke. But when I do readings specifically, I just shuffle the cards and put them on the table and then read what the cards say. I don't think I'm communicating with anyone in particular. What other knowledge experience do you apply to tarot readings? So astrology, numerology, religion, mythology, psychology, none of the above. I try to stick as close to imagery as I possibly can, and I try to stay away from specifically psychological insights, because I don't really use tarot as a tool for psychological insight, and I don't find it useful for that. Numerological systems are so numerous that you can basically, if you want to get a specific answer, you can find a system that is going to confirm exactly what you want to know, which is why I just stick to the image. Like, for example, this. I don't associate this to any specific Hebrew letters or astrological signs or anything. So this is just a naked woman pouring water into a river. And then in the context of other cards, I will make a sentence out of it. So I try to keep as many systems as I possibly can out of the picture and just look at the images on the cards. Oh, I love this moon. I don't know if you can see it. It's really beautiful. What's the next question? Tarot is the book of life. Where else in your world or life do you witness tarot? I don't know that I understand this question, if I'm being fully honest. I don't think tarot is a book of life. So maybe that's the starting point where I disagree with the question. So I think tarot is a set of images. You can say maybe elements of a language, but not even elements as in words, more like letters, because different combinations can mean completely different things. So I don't, I don't think tarot is a book of life. Where do I witness tarot? I don't. This is a very curious question, and maybe the best way to answer it would be to say that that the same way I read tarot, I can read the world as well. Like, this is really no different than when ancient Romans would read omens such as birds, or, throwing bones or whatever else people use throughout history. So in that sense, the way you read the tarot visually, you can read the whole world. Oh, this sun card was painted by Osvaldo Menegazzi. He's the guy who created Il Meneghello, the publishing house, and who collected works for this. Okay, what's the next question? Have you experienced where tarot has correctly predicted the future? How did you feel when it came to pass? Yes, many, many times. I find that predictive readings can be really very effective and very precise. I can't say that I've felt, I don't know, when I look back, I think I just remember the bad outcomes that tarot predicted rather than good ones. But if I'm to listen to the tarot and believe it, there will be a very good outcome in the next 7 days or so. And if that comes to pass, I will be really very happy. But in terms of, if this question kind of hints at that sense of amazement when you get something right by reading like random images, then yes, there's always this sense of awe and wonder, and there is something really magical about it. If you're a witch or a magical practitioner, how, if applicable, does tarot fit into your magical practice? Well, I don't really identify as a witch or as a magical practitioner. Oh, pardon the digression. This is such a smart world card. It really includes the entire world of art. Like, you have nods to everything from like Baroque art, to Cubism, and to these kinds of like tacky pin-up works of art that tarot kind of usually falls into, because most of tarot art is really very tacky. So rather lovely, and also painted very well. Anyway, I forgot what the question was. Oh yes, how does it fit into my magical practice? Well, I would say that tarot is kind of the backbone of my practice. Since I really don't, I am a magical practitioner, I just really don't like any of the Western occultism, because it's too, I don't know, there's just too much Plato everywhere, and this is not how I see the world. So I don't exactly have a school of thought or a book that I can reliably come to. So I use tarot to ask directly. If I need to do a ritual, an offering, I will ask tarot what to do and what to give. And that usually works really well. Oh, and the last card is my favorite, the Temperance. It's really very different from everything else, but it's beautiful. One of these cards was made by Pietro Aligo, and I don't know which one, because I skipped it. Let me check. He's one of the founders of Lo Scarabeo, the publishing company. Let me just see which one. It's the Magician. This is a really lovely place to end. I don't think that this was very useful, because this is my first video, and I'm not a very talkative person, but it is what it is. I hope you've enjoyed this, if that's at all possible, and if I make another video, then maybe I'll see you around.